Have you ever wondered why some people seem to avoid you? That might sound a bit harsh, but let's face it, we all have habits that can make others roll their eyes when we enter a room. I know I do. Today, I'm going to share some bad habits that might be causing people to judge you negatively. And I'll admit, I've been guilty of many of these myself. So, if you're willing to stick around, we're going to explore this topic. It might be controversial and brutally honest, but it will definitely be entertaining. Are you ready to find out if you're unknowingly making a bad impression? Let's get started. 1. Gossiping. All right, let's talk about gossip. We all engage in it, whether it's sharing a little workplace news or discussing someone's relationship troubles. It often feels innocent, and who doesn't enjoy being in the loop? However, there's a harsh reality when you gossip about others. It raises questions about what they say about you when you're not around. Gossip breeds distrust. I learned this the hard way. I used to think gossiping helped me bond with others. I believed that sharing the latest news made me seem fun and relatable. But instead of deepening my connections, I noticed people started avoiding meaningful conversations with me. They kept interactions superficial because they didn't trust me. I became the person who knew everyone's secrets but had no real friends. Moreover, focusing on others' lives allowed me to avoid addressing my own issues. It became a distraction from my problems. The more I criticized others, the less I paid attention to what I needed to improve in my own life. Gossiping is not just harmful to relationships, it's toxic to you. It fosters insecurity and negativity. Instead of uplifting others, you end up bringing them and yourself down. I realized that if I wanted genuine connections, I had to stop relying on gossip as a way to connect with people. If you think gossip is harmless fun, think again. People notice and remember, and they will distance themselves from you. Trust me, I've experienced this. There's far more strength in shutting down gossip than in spreading it. The next time someone tries to involve you in the latest drama, consider saying, "No thanks, I'm good." You might be surprised at how quickly you earn real respect. After all, we all have our own lives to sort out. Let's stop fixating on everyone else's issues. 2. Being passive-aggressive. Passive aggression is a way of not expressing your true feelings while expecting others to understand you anyway. You might know it as the classic "I'm fine" face, which communicates everything but fine. Or when someone asks you for a favor, you say sure, whatever, while secretly wishing for their downfall. We've all experienced it. It's a twisted form of emotional warfare. I used to believe that passive aggression was a clever method to avoid confrontation. Instead of arguing, I thought I could drop subtle hints and make others feel bad for not guessing my feelings. Unfortunately, I learned that people aren't mind readers, and if they were, they often ignore those hints on purpose. I was once the queen of passive-aggressive texting. When someone canceled plans, instead of simply saying that was disappointing, I would text, "Wow, it must be nice to be so busy." If a friend irritated me, I would give them the silent treatment, hoping they would magically understand why I was upset. The truth is, no one ever figured it out. I just appeared immature and dramatic. Passive aggression is like emotional dodgeball. You think you're avoiding the problem, but you're really just projecting your frustration onto others without giving them a chance to resolve the issue. It's draining for you and everyone around you. The worst part is it makes people view you as difficult, manipulative, or childish. Nobody wants to deal with someone who can't express their true feelings. At its core, passive aggression stems from a fear of vulnerability. We think we're protecting ourselves from conflict, but in reality, we're sabotaging our relationships. Instead of saying "that hurt" or "I'm upset," we engage in mind games and expect others to guess our feelings. Here's the hard truth. It's not their responsibility to figure out what you're feeling. It's your job to communicate. I remember the day this realization hit me. I was in a major argument with a friend and kept making passive-aggressive comments, hoping they would understand. Instead, they looked at me and said, "If you can't tell me what's wrong, I can't help you." It struck me hard. I wasn't being strong or clever by holding back my feelings. I was being cowardly. Since then, I've resolved to express my thoughts honestly, which at first felt terrifying. However, it's incredibly freeing to stop playing emotional dodgeball and start having genuine conversations. Things really improve when you embrace honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. More importantly, you gain respect for yourself when you don't hide behind passive-aggressive barriers. So, the next time you're tempted to send a snarky text or give someone the cold shoulder, ask yourself, do you want to keep avoiding the issue, or do you want to confront it like an adult? Life becomes so much easier when you stop expecting others to read your emotions and just communicate them clearly. And who knows, they might even surprise you by addressing the problem. 3. Never taking responsibility. All right, let's discuss a common issue, the tendency to avoid responsibility. You know the type, nothing is ever their fault. They might say, "I missed the deadline because the Wi-Fi was down," or "I failed the test because the teacher hates me." I can relate. I used to be an expert at making excuses. It feels good to deflect blame because it reduces feelings of guilt, acting like a mental escape route. However, the harsh reality is that when you constantly shift blame, you're essentially saying, "I can't manage my life." This behavior makes others view you as unreliable, immature, and disorganized. For example, during my school years, I was infamous for not completing my homework, always ready with excuses like, "The printer broke," or "I didn't know it was due today." One day, a teacher told me, "Every time you make an excuse, you're robbing yourself of the chance to grow. You won't improve if you don't own your mistakes." That hit me hard. Excuses may feel safe because they protect us from criticism and the sting of failure, but they also trap us in a cycle of mediocrity. When you refuse to take responsibility, you lose the ability to change your situation. If you blame others for everything, you'll never improve. I realized my excuses weren't helping me. They were holding me back. Each time I blamed someone or something else, I was avoiding the truth that perhaps I hadn't put in enough effort or could have done better. Acknowledging your mistakes is not a bad thing. It's essential for growth. Responsibility brings freedom. When you own up to your mistakes, you can actually take steps to correct them. I remember the first time I accepted a mistake at work. I missed a deadline, and instead of listing excuses, I simply said, "I didn't manage my time well. I'll do better next time." Surprisingly, my boss didn't react negatively. In fact, they respected me more for taking responsibility. I learned that people don't expect perfection. They just want honesty and accountability. I understand that accepting responsibility can be uncomfortable. No one enjoys feeling like they've failed. However, in the long run, it's transformative. When you stop making excuses, people begin to trust you more, and you start to trust yourself too. Isn't it better to own up to your mistakes than to live in fear of being exposed? Life becomes much simpler when you stop juggling excuses. You don't have to remember your latest excuse, just accept the situation, learn from it, and move on. So, the next time you feel tempted to blame something external, like the dog, the weather, or the universe, for your mistakes, consider taking ownership instead. It might be intimidating at first, but it ultimately feels much better. Plus, you might earn respect for it. Now, go out there and start taking responsibility. Your future self will thank you. 4th, lack of basic hygiene. All right, everyone, let's talk about something important, hygiene. I know this is a topic that shouldn't need discussion, but clearly it does. You'd think that after all this time, everyone would understand how to use soap and water. But that's not always the case. No one wants to be the person others avoid because of body odor, yet it happens. I'm not here to judge, well, maybe a little, but I want to help you avoid being that person. I'll share a personal story. When I was in middle school, I went through a phase where I thought deodorant was optional. I figured that if I didn't feel sweaty, everything was fine. I was wrong. One day, someone awkwardly suggested I try a new body spray. And that was my wake-up call. Realizing I had been walking around with an unpleasant smell made me rethink my choices. I rushed home and stocked up on hygiene products. When we talk about hygiene, it's not just about smelling good. It's about respecting yourself and others. If you neglect basic hygiene, people may question what else you're ignoring. It sends a silent message. If someone can't handle a shower, how can they manage bigger responsibilities? It's not fair, but that's how people think. This isn't just about body odor. It includes unbrushed teeth, greasy hair, and dirty clothes. If you look like you've just rolled out of bed for days, people start to wonder if you're okay, or if you're even trying. Sometimes, poor hygiene can signal deeper issues like depression, burnout, or low self-esteem. I've been there too. During tough times, I would skip basic self-care, thinking, what's the point? But neglecting physical care can worsen mental health. There was a time when I was overwhelmed with work and stress, and my self-care suffered. I'd skip showers and wear the same clothes, hoping no one would notice. But they did. A close friend eventually asked if I was okay, and that made me realize how much I had let things slide. That moment helped me see that neglecting hygiene was a sign of bigger problems, including my mental health. Hygiene is not just about appearance, it's a form of self-respect. It shows that you value yourself. When you let go of the basics, you're sending a message to yourself that you're not worth the effort, which can lead to deeper self-doubt. The good news is that taking small steps, like brushing your teeth or washing your hair, can significantly improve your mood. It's amazing how something so simple can have such a positive impact. I know that some days showering feels like a monumental task, but once you do it, you'll feel like a new person. Plus, those around you will appreciate it too. There's nothing quite like the fresh and clean feeling after a shower. So, do yourself and everyone else a favor. Wash up, use deodorant, brush your teeth, and step out feeling like the champion you are. Remember, good hygiene isn't just about impressing others. It's about taking care of yourself. If you're debating whether to shower today, consider this your sign. Go for it. You'll feel better afterward. 5. Constant complaining. Let's be honest for a moment. We all know someone who complains about everything. They could be lounging on a tropical beach with a cocktail in hand and still find something to grumble about. Like saying it's too sunny or the sand is too gritty. You know the type, right? If you're sitting there thinking you don't know anyone like that, you might want to take a closer look in the mirror because you could be that person. But don't worry, we've all been there at some point, myself included. I went through a phase where I complained constantly, especially when I was stressed. I would walk into work and grumble about the cold or the bad coffee. It was as if I couldn't help myself. One day, a friend pointed out that I complained more than anyone they knew, and that hit hard. I hadn't even realized how negative I had become. Constant complaining is exhausting for both you and those around you. It's like negativity spreads, and when you focus only on what's wrong, people start to see you as a dark cloud. Eventually, they may even avoid you. If people feel the need to duck into another room when they see you coming to escape another rant, that's a clear sign something needs to change. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Complaining may feel good in the moment, like a way to vent frustration, but it creates a cycle where you focus solely on the negative. You train your brain to overlook the good things happening around you. When you're always bringing negativity into conversations, people might start to think that if you're always unhappy, maybe you are the problem. The deeper issue is that constant complaining often serves as a mask for deeper feelings. During my complaining phase, it wasn't really about the cold office or the bad coffee. It was about feeling overwhelmed and out of control. Complaining was my outlet, but it only made me feel worse. I realized that by focusing on complaints, I wasn't solving any problems, I was just broadcasting them. No one wants to hear a constant stream of negativity. So, I began to change my approach. Whenever I felt the urge to complain, I would pause and ask myself what I could do about the situation. If I couldn't fix it, I learned to let it go. If I could, I would take action instead of complaining. It was challenging at first, but over time, I noticed a significant change in how people responded to me and how I felt about myself. Life will always present challenges, things will go wrong. That's just reality. However, fixating on the negatives prevents you from seeing the positives and blocks gratitude. Practicing gratitude is the antidote to complaining. The more you focus on what's good, the less you feel the need to complain, and you'll find that you attract more positivity. People will want to be around you because you uplift them instead of dragging them down. If you find yourself complaining about everything from the weather to the Wi-Fi, take a moment to reflect. Am I trying to solve this problem, or am I just stuck in a habit of whining? Let's be honest. Constant complaining isn't charming, and it doesn't help anyone. The next time you're about to complain, try to find something to be thankful for. You'll be surprised at how much better you feel, and the people around you will appreciate it too. 6. Always being late. Now, let's address a habit that many people struggle with: being chronically late. We all know that one person who is always running behind. You know the classic "I'm just 5 minutes away" text that somehow turns into 20 minutes, or the "I'm on my way" message sent from the couch while still in pajamas. Before you start making excuses, let's be real. I've been that person. I was the queen of being fashionably late, but it was never stylish, it was just inconsiderate. I thought it was my little rebellion against time, but in reality, it was just rude. I used to be late for everything: meetings, dates, family dinners, until one day my best friend called me out. She said, "Being late isn't just about showing up late. It shows that you don't value my time." That hit me hard. I had never considered it that way. I was so caught up in my own time management issues that I didn't realize how disrespectful I was being to others. Chronic lateness isn't just a personal quirk. It sends a major red flag to others. It communicates that your time is more important than theirs. Whether it's a job interview, dinner with friends, or a simple meeting, if you're always late, people start to see you as unreliable and disorganized. Here's a spicy truth. Being late often hides deeper issues. For some, it may stem from a lack of respect, while for others, it can be a way to avoid commitment or confrontation. Sometimes we're late because we're dragging our feet, or because we don't really want to be there. We think that if we show up late, people will assume we're busy or important. But it actually makes them question our integrity and interest. I had to confront this uncomfortable truth myself. I wasn't just late because I had a poor sense of time. I was late because I was afraid of facing certain situations. I realized I was using lateness as a buffer, an excuse to avoid being fully present. Once I recognized this, I started working on my time management and being honest about why I was avoiding certain things. Being chronically late is more than just a bad habit. It reflects issues like poor time management, self-respect, and consideration for others. When you're late, you're not just messing up your own schedule, you're showing others that you don't value their time or efforts. Overcoming this is tough, but it's worth it. I began setting reminders, planning ahead, and even arriving early to counteract my lateness. It wasn't easy, but it made a significant difference. People started to trust me more, and I felt better about myself. I was no longer known as the person who was always late. I became someone people could count on. So here's the challenge. If you're the chronically late one in your group, it's time to step up your game. Start small, set your clocks 5 minutes ahead, plan your outfit the night before, or simply leave earlier. Watch how your relationships and reputation improve. Being on time isn't just about respect, it's about not missing out on life's moments. So stop playing catch up and start showing up on time. Trust me, it will make all the difference. 7. Playing the victim. Now, let's talk about a common habit that many people have, playing the victim. You know the type, they always have a long list of complaints, and no matter what happens, it's never their fault. When things go wrong, they often ask, why does this always happen to me? The truth is, sometimes it's not the universe against you, it's your own mindset. I understand that life can be tough, and it can feel like you're the only one facing challenges. However, playing the victim often serves as a way to avoid taking responsibility and hinder personal growth. I used to fall into this trap myself. I would complain about missed promotions at work, thinking my boss disliked me, or feel cursed in my relationships. It wasn't until a friend confronted me about my victim mentality that I realized how much I was contributing to my own problems. That conversation was a wake-up call for me. Playing the victim can become a habit, making you feel like everything is happening to you rather than for you. This mindset is draining for both you and those around you, and it limits your ability to grow. When you're always looking for someone to blame, you're not seeking solutions or opportunities for learning. Sometimes it's easier to play the victim than to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. It's more comfortable to say, it's not my fault, than to reflect on what you could have done differently. But that approach is disempowering. I learned this the hard way. I used to blame others for my career setbacks, but once I started taking responsibility for my actions, everything changed. I stopped seeing myself as a victim and began to view myself as an active participant in my life. It was liberating. Instead of waiting for things to improve on their own, I started making changes, setting goals, and working toward them. Playing the victim is like running on a hamster wheel. You expend a lot of energy, but don't make any real progress. When you stop playing the victim and start taking responsibility, you break free from that cycle. Life's challenges won't disappear, but you'll be better equipped to face them. It's about shifting from a mindset of helplessness to one of empowerment. If you find yourself slipping into victim thinking, try rephrasing your questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I do about this? Empower yourself to be the hero of your own story. It's much more rewarding than being a victim. Remember, you have the power to change your circumstances. Take control and watch how your life and relationships improve. As we wrap up, we've discussed some habits that can negatively impact how others perceive you, like gossiping, being passive-aggressive, avoiding responsibility, neglecting hygiene, and constant complaining. If you recognize any of these in yourself, don't worry. The good news is that these habits can be changed. Life is too short to stay stuck in unhelpful patterns. You don't have to be perfect, but a little self-awareness can go a long way. Even small changes can significantly impact your relationships, confidence, and how you present yourself to the world. Plus, no one dislikes being around someone who is honest, accountable, and well-groomed. So here's your challenge. Think of one habit you can change this week. It could be owning up to a mistake, managing negativity, or simply taking a quick shower. Remember, every small step counts. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this helpful or insightful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement. We're all in this together, nobody's perfect, but we can all strive to be better. Next time you feel like gossiping or complaining, ask yourself, what would I say about myself? That's a great place to start. See you next time.